The rain hammered down on Peter Quinn's windshield so hard he could barely see 3 feet ahead. And somewhere in that downpour, a little girl in a yellow raincoat stood alone at the bus stop, looking smaller and more vulnerable than anyone should ever have to be. Peter had been driving his daughter Emma to school that morning, running late as usual, because the hot water heater had given out again, and they'd both had to wash up with cold water from the kettle. His pickup truck was making that grinding noise again, the one his mechanic friend Dave said would cost at least $800 to fix properly. Money he didn't have. Money he never seemed to have, no matter how many extra shifts he picked up at the warehouse. "Dad, that little girl looks scared," Emma said from the passenger seat, pressing her face against the window. His 9-year-old daughter had always been more observant than most kids her age, always noticing when someone needed help. Peter slowed the truck, squinting through the rain. The girl couldn't have been more than 7 or 8, standing at the bus stop with no umbrella, no parent in sight. Her yellow raincoat was soaked through, and even from inside the truck, he could see she was shivering. "We should help her," Emma said, already unbuckling her seatbelt. "Hold on, kiddo. Let me assess the situation first." Peter pulled the truck over to the side of the road, putting on his hazards. He grabbed his old jacket from behind the seat and stepped out into the rain. The water immediately soaked through his work shirt as he jogged over to the bus stop. Up close, the little girl looked even more frightened, her dark hair plastered to her face, tears mixing with rainwater on her cheeks. "Hey there," Peter said gently, crouching down to her eye level but keeping a respectful distance. "Are you okay? Where are your parents?" The girl looked up at him with wide, scared eyes. "My mommy had an early meeting. She usually takes me to school, but today Maria was supposed to come get me. Maria is our housekeeper, but she didn't come and the bus didn't come either. Do you have a phone? Can you call your mom?" She shook her head, water droplets flying. "Mommy says I'm too young for a phone. I'm only 7. Peter's heart clenched. Emma was watching from the truck, her face pressed against the window with concern. He thought about what he would want someone to do if Emma was ever in this situation. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lucy. Lucy Kimball." "Okay, Lucy, I'm Peter, and that's my daughter Emma in the truck. We're heading to drop her off at school. What school do you go to?" "Riverside Elementary." Peter felt a wave of relief. That was only 2 blocks from Emma's school, Pinewood Elementary. "That's on our way. How about we give you a ride? You can sit with Emma in the back and we'll get you there safe and dry." Lucy hesitated, and Peter was glad she did. It meant someone had taught her about stranger danger. "My mommy says not to go with strangers." "That's very smart of your mom. How about this? You can hold onto the door handle, and if you feel unsafe at any moment, you can get out, okay? And my daughter will be right there with you the whole time." Emma had already gotten out of the truck, rain soaking into her jacket as she ran over. "Hi, I'm Emma. You look really cold. We have extra towels in the truck because my dad always forgets to take the clean laundry inside." Despite her fear, Lucy managed a small smile. "Come on," Emma said, holding out her hand. "My dad's really nice. He helps people all the time. Last week, he helped an old man change his tire even though we were super late for my dentist appointment." Lucy looked between them, then at the empty road where no bus was coming, and finally nodded. Peter helped both girls into the back of the extended cab, then retrieved one of the clean towels from the pile in the back seat. Emma had been right to call him out. He'd done laundry at the laundromat 3 days ago and still hadn't brought it all inside. "Here, wrap this around yourself," he said, handing Lucy the towel. "Let's get you warmed up." As Peter drove toward Riverside Elementary, Emma chatted away to Lucy, asking her about her favorite subjects and whether she liked her teacher. Peter listened with half an ear while navigating the rain-slicked roads, grateful that Emma had inherited his late wife Sarah's gift for making people feel comfortable. Sarah. Even after 3 years, thinking about her still felt like a punch to the gut. Cancer had taken her so fast, so brutally. One day she'd been complaining about being tired, and 9 months later she was gone. The medical bills had decimated their savings, and Peter had been struggling ever since, trying to be both mother and father to Emma while keeping them afloat financially. "Turn left here," Lucy said, pointing. "The school is at the end of the block." Peter pulled up in front of Riverside Elementary, a newer, nicer building than Emma's school. Through the rain, he could see it had a modern entrance with covered walkways and what looked like a well-maintained playground. "Thank you so much," Lucy said, her voice stronger now that she was warm and safe. "You're really nice. Do you want us to walk you in? Make sure you get to your classroom, okay?" Peter asked. Lucy nodded eagerly, and Peter felt it was the right call. He couldn't just drop a 7-year-old off in a storm and hope for the best. He parked the truck, and all three of them hurried through the rain to the entrance. Inside, the school was warm and bright, with colorful artwork lining the hallways. A woman at the front desk looked up in surprise. "Lucy, your mother has been calling frantically. She said Maria had a family emergency and couldn't pick you up. We were about to send someone to your bus stop." "This nice man and his daughter gave me a ride," Lucy explained. "I was really scared, but they helped me." The receptionist looked at Peter with a mix of gratitude and the careful assessment of an adult trained to protect children. "That was very kind of you. I should probably get some information and call Lucy's mother to let her know she's safe." "Of course," Peter said. He provided his name and phone number, feeling slightly awkward but understanding the necessity. "I just wanted to make sure she got here safely. My daughter and I were driving past and saw her alone at the bus stop in this weather." "You're a good man," the receptionist said warmly. "Lucy, go ahead to class. I'll call your mother right away." Lucy gave Peter and Emma quick hugs before running off down the hallway, her yellow raincoat leaving a trail of water droplets. "We should get going too," Peter said to Emma. "You're already going to be late." They rushed back to the truck and drove the 2 blocks to Pinewood Elementary. By the time Emma got inside, she was 15 minutes late, which meant Peter was going to be late to his shift at the warehouse. His boss, Mr. Henderson, wasn't going to be happy. Peter had already been late twice this month. He made it to work 23 minutes late, his shirt still damp from the rain. Mr. Henderson was waiting by the time clock, his face set in its usual expression of disapproval. "Quinn, this is the 3rd time this month." "I know, sir. I'm sorry." "There was a situation with a child who needed help, and I had to make sure she got to school safely." "I don't pay you to be a hero. I pay you to be here on time, loading trucks." Peter bit back his frustration. He needed this job. "It won't happen again. See that it doesn't. Any more tardiness, and we'll have to have a serious conversation about your future here." The day dragged on, 8 hours of heavy lifting and loading trucks in the warehouse. Peter's back ached, his hands were raw, and all he could think about was getting home to Emma. She stayed with Mrs. Chen, their elderly neighbor, for the 2 hours between when school let out and when Peter got home. Mrs. Chen refused to take any money, saying Emma was good company, but Peter always tried to help her out when he could, fixing things around her house or picking up groceries. When Peter finally pulled up to their small rental house, a duplex on the edge of town, he was exhausted. Emma was already home, doing homework at the kitchen table. "Hey, kiddo, how was the rest of your day?" "Good. Oh, and there was a lady looking for you earlier. She came to Mrs. Chen's door." Peter froze in the act of pulling off his work boots. "A lady?" "Yeah, she was really pretty and dressed fancy. She said her name was Jennifer Kimball, and she was looking for the man who helped her daughter this morning. Mrs. Chen gave her our address. Was that okay?" Jennifer Kimball. Lucy's mother. Peter felt a flutter of anxiety. Had he done something wrong? Was she angry that a stranger had driven her daughter to school? Before he could process this information, there was a knock at the door. Peter opened it to find a woman who could only be described as stunning standing on his porch. She wore an expensive-looking coat over a business suit, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. And even in the dim porch light, he could see the intelligence and concern in her brown eyes. "Peter Quinn?" she asked, her voice cultured and smooth. "That's me." I'm Jennifer Kimball, Lucy's mother. May I come in? I promise I won't take much of your time. Peter suddenly became aware of how shabby his house must look to someone like her. The worn furniture, the patched carpet, the kitchen table that wobbled no matter how many times he tried to fix it. But he stepped aside and let her in. I wanted to thank you, Jennifer said immediately, turning to face him in the small living room. The school called me this morning to let me know Lucy had arrived safely, and they explained what you did. I cannot tell you how grateful I am. When I realized Maria hadn't been able to pick up Lucy, and I couldn't leave my meeting, I was terrified. The school said she wasn't there, and I imagined every horrible scenario. Anyone would have done the same, Peter said, uncomfortable with the gratitude. But they didn't. You did. My daughter told me you and your daughter made her feel safe. In this world, that's not something to dismiss. Jennifer reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Please, I want to give you a reward. No, Peter said immediately, taking a step back. I didn't help your daughter for money. I understand, but please, let me do something. You took time out of your morning. You were probably late to work. I was, but that's not your problem. I'm just glad Lucy is safe. Jennifer studied him with an intensity that made Peter self-conscious. He was aware of his faded jeans, his worn flannel shirt with the small tear near the pocket, his calloused hands. Then at least let me take you and your daughter to dinner, Jennifer said. As a thank you, Lucy has been talking about Emma nonstop. She said Emma was the nicest girl she'd ever met. Emma had appeared in the doorway to the kitchen, listening with wide eyes. Can we, Dad? Peter wanted to refuse, but he saw the hope in Emma's face. They never went out to dinner. They couldn't afford it, and Lucy's mother was looking at him with such earnestness. Okay, he heard himself say. But somewhere casual. We're not fancy people. Jennifer smiled, and it transformed her face from beautiful to radiant. How about Miller's Diner? Saturday at 6. Lucy loves their pancakes. We love Miller's, Emma said excitedly. They have the best chocolate chip pancakes. Then it's settled, Jennifer said. She handed Peter a business card. My number is on there. If Saturday doesn't work, just let me know. After Jennifer left, Peter looked at the card. Jennifer Kimball, CEO, Kimball Consulting Group. His stomach dropped. She wasn't just wealthy. She was the Jennifer Kimball, the one whose company had been featured in the local business journal last month for landing some massive contract. And she wanted to have dinner with a warehouse worker who could barely keep his truck running. Saturday arrived too quickly. Peter spent an embarrassing amount of time trying to find something decent to wear, finally settling on his only pair of khakis that didn't have stains and a button-down shirt he usually reserved for parent-teacher conferences. Emma wore her favorite dress, the blue one with white flowers that Sarah had bought her for Easter 2 years ago. She was growing out of it, the hem hitting above her knees now, but she loved it too much to stop wearing it. Miller's Diner was busy when they arrived, filled with the Saturday evening crowd. Peter spotted Jennifer and Lucy immediately. They were in a booth by the window, and Jennifer was dressed casually in jeans and a soft sweater, making Peter feel slightly less out of place. Emma, Mr. Quinn. Lucy bounced in her seat, waving enthusiastically. The dinner was surprisingly comfortable. Lucy and Emma hit it off immediately, chattering about school and their favorite books. Jennifer was easy to talk to, asking Peter questions about his work and his life without being intrusive or condescending. How long have you lived in town? She asked, sipping her coffee. All my life. Grew up here, went to school here. Emma's mom, Sarah, was from here too. We were high school sweethearts. Was, Jennifer asked gently. She passed away 3 years ago, cancer. Jennifer's hand moved as if she wanted to reach across the table but stopped herself. I'm so sorry, that must have been devastating. It was. It still is some days. But Emma keeps me going. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. I understand. Lucy is my world too. Her father and I divorced when she was 3. He moved to Europe for work and rarely visits. It's been just us for a long time. There was something in the way she said it, a loneliness that Peter recognized. They were both single parents, both struggling in different ways. The girls insisted on splitting a massive ice cream sundae for dessert, and Peter found himself laughing more than he had in months. Emma was glowing with happiness, and seeing her so carefree made everything worth it. When the check came, Jennifer grabbed it before Peter could react. "You invited us," Peter protested. "Exactly. My treat, remember?" "At least let me leave the tip." Jennifer smiled. "Deal." Outside the diner, the evening air was cool and pleasant. Lucy hugged Emma goodbye, making her promise they could have a playdate soon. "I meant what I said about Lucy spending time with Emma," Jennifer said to Peter. "If you're comfortable with it, maybe they could get together next weekend." "Yeah, I think Emma would love that." Jennifer hesitated, then said, "And maybe you and I could get coffee sometime. As adults, I mean. Lucy will be with me, of course, and you could bring Emma, but it would be nice to talk more." Peter's heart did something complicated in his chest. "I'd like that." They exchanged phone numbers, actual personal numbers this time, and Peter drove home feeling lighter than he had in years. Emma fell asleep on the way home, a smile still on her face, and when Peter carried her inside and tucked her into bed, she mumbled, "I really like Lucy and her mom." "Me too, kiddo," Peter whispered. "Me too." The next week, Jennifer texted him. The message was simple: "Coffee on Tuesday after work. There's a park near my office where the girls could play." Peter agreed, and found himself looking forward to Tuesday with an anticipation he hadn't felt since before Sarah got sick. He left work right on time, something Mr. Henderson noted with a suspicious look, and picked up Emma from Mrs. Chen's house. "You look nervous," Emma observed from the passenger seat. "I'm not nervous. You're wearing your nice shirt, the one you iron." Peter glanced down at his button-down. "I just wanted to look presentable." Emma grinned knowingly, looking far too wise for 9 years old. "You like Mrs. Kimball, Miss Kimball. She's not married. So you do like her. She's a nice person, Em. We're just getting coffee." The park was beautiful, one of the newer ones in town that Peter and Emma rarely visited because it was on the other side of town. Jennifer and Lucy were already there, sitting on a bench near the playground. Jennifer stood when she saw them, and Peter's breath caught. She was wearing jeans and a simple t-shirt, her hair down around her shoulders, and she looked more relaxed than he'd ever seen her. "Hey," she said, smiling warmly. "I got here a little early. I hope you don't mind." "Not at all. We just came from my place." Lucy and Emma ran off to the playground immediately, and Peter and Jennifer walked to the nearby coffee cart. "So," Jennifer said once they had their drinks and were settled on a bench where they could watch the girls. "Tell me something about yourself that I don't know." "That's a broad question." "Okay, something specific. What did you want to be when you were a kid?" Peter laughed. "A park ranger. I loved the outdoors, loved hiking and camping. My dad used to take me up to the mountains every summer." "What happened?" "Life happened." "Got married young," had Emma, "needed a steady paycheck with benefits. The warehouse pays okay, has health insurance. It's not glamorous, but it provides." "Do you still hike?" "Not as much as I'd like. Can't really afford the gear anymore, and my truck is on its last legs." Can't risk breaking down in the middle of nowhere with Emma. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. "What if I told you I have access to a cabin in the mountains? It's owned by my company, used for executive retreats, but it's empty most weekends. You and Emma could use it sometime if you wanted." Peter's first instinct was to refuse. He didn't want charity. But then he looked at Emma, laughing as she went down the slide with Lucy, and he thought about how much she would love a weekend in the mountains. "I couldn't impose like that. It's not an imposition. The place just sits there. It would be nice to have someone use it who would actually appreciate it." Jennifer paused, then added, "And maybe Lucy and I could come with you sometime, if you wouldn't mind the company. I've always wanted to teach Lucy about nature, but I don't really know where to start." Peter looked at her, at the hope in her eyes, and realized this wasn't about charity. This was about connection, about two people who were tired of being alone. "I'd like that," he said. "I'd like that a lot." They talked until the sun started to set, about everything and nothing. Jennifer told him about growing up in a small town in Ohio, about putting herself through business school, about building her company from the ground up. Peter told her about his childhood, about Sarah, about the dreams he'd put on hold but never quite forgotten. When it was time to leave, Lucy and Emma begged for just 5 more minutes, the universal cry of children everywhere. "Next Tuesday?" Jennifer asked. "Next Tuesday," Peter confirmed. That night, lying in bed, Peter felt something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. Hope that maybe life could be more than just surviving, more than just getting through each day. Maybe there was room for happiness again, for connection, for something new. The weeks that followed fell into a comfortable pattern. Coffee at the park on Tuesdays, the girls playing while Peter and Jennifer talked. Sometimes Jennifer would call him during the day, just to chat, to tell him something funny Lucy had said or to ask his advice about something. Peter found himself thinking about her at odd moments, wondering what she was doing, if she was thinking about him too. One Thursday evening, Jennifer called with distress in her voice. "Peter, I know this is last minute, but I have an emergency at work. A client crisis that can't wait until morning. Maria is still dealing with her family situation, and I can't find a babysitter. I know it's a huge ask, but could Lucy possibly stay with you and Emma tonight? I'll come get her as soon as I can, but it might be late." "Of course," Peter said without hesitation. "Bring her over. We're just having spaghetti for dinner, nothing fancy, but there's plenty. You're a lifesaver. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Jennifer arrived looking stressed, her professional mask firmly in place but cracks showing around the edges. Lucy had an overnight bag and her favorite stuffed animal, a worn teddy bear named Mr. Buttons. "I'm so sorry about this," Jennifer said, handing Peter the bag. "Lucy's bedtime is 8:30, but she can stay up until 9 if the girls are having fun. She's allergic to strawberries, but I think you know that already. She likes to sleep with a nightlight." "Jennifer," Peter said gently, touching her arm, "we've got this. Lucy will be fine. Go take care of your work emergency, and don't worry about what time you come get her. If it's really late, she can just sleep here and you can pick her up in the morning." Jennifer looked at him with such gratitude that Peter felt his heart squeeze. "Thank you. I don't know what I did to deserve your kindness. You stopped to thank a stranger who helped your daughter. That says a lot about you." After Jennifer left, Peter made dinner while Emma showed Lucy her room, her toys, her collection of rocks from different hiking trips. The girls ate like they were starving, chattering between bites about their day at school. After dinner, they all curled up on the couch to watch a movie. Lucy sat between Peter and Emma, and halfway through she leaned against Peter's shoulder, her eyes drooping. By the time the credits rolled, both girls were asleep. Peter carefully carried Lucy to Emma's room, where he'd made up a sleeping bag on the floor earlier. He tucked her in, making sure Mr. Buttons was within reach, and turned on the nightlight. Then he carried Emma to his room, laying her in his bed. He'd sleep on the couch tonight. Jennifer called at 10:30, sounding exhausted. "How are things?" "Both girls are sound asleep. Lucy's in Emma's room, Emma's in my bed, I'm on the couch. Take your time. If you're too tired to drive, just come in the morning." "You're sure?" "Positive. Lucy is safe, happy, and sleeping peacefully. That's what matters." Jennifer's voice was soft when she spoke again. "You're a really good man, Peter Quinn." After they hung up, Peter lay on his lumpy couch, thinking about how his life had changed in just a few weeks. A month ago, his existence had been a monotonous cycle of work, bills, and trying to be enough for Emma. Now there was Jennifer, with her quick smile and sharp intelligence. There was Lucy, who looked at him with the same trust Emma showed him. There was the possibility of something more. Jennifer arrived at 7 the next morning with coffee and bagels. She looked tired but put together in fresh clothes, and Peter wondered if she'd gone home to shower and change. "I can't thank you enough," she said, handing him a coffee. "The crisis is resolved, but it took all night. I'm glad you got it sorted out. Lucy was great. She and Emma are still sleeping." They sat at his kitchen table, drinking coffee in comfortable silence. The morning light came through the window, illuminating the cracks in the vinyl flooring, the water stain on the ceiling he kept meaning to fix. Peter felt self-conscious again, but Jennifer didn't seem to notice or care. "Peter," she said finally, "I want to ask you something, and please feel free to say no. Lucy's birthday is next month. She's turning 8 and she wants a small party at the park. Nothing fancy, just a few friends. She specifically asked if Emma could come and if you could be there too. Would you come?" "Of course." "Emma would love that." "And you?" Jennifer asked, looking at him intently. "Would you love that?" Peter met her gaze, saw the question behind the question. "Yeah, Jennifer, I would." Something shifted between them in that moment, an acknowledgement of what had been building for weeks. They weren't just two single parents arranging playdates for their kids anymore. This was something more, something that scared Peter as much as it excited him. The sound of small feet on the stairs broke the moment. Lucy and Emma appeared, rubbing sleep from their eyes. "Mommy." Lucy ran to Jennifer, hugging her tight. "Good morning, sweetheart. Did you have fun?" "So much fun. Mr. Quinn made spaghetti and we watched a movie and Emma let me sleep in her room. Can I come back, please?" Jennifer laughed. "We'll see. Maybe Emma can come to our house next time." That afternoon, after Jennifer and Lucy had left, Emma helped Peter fold laundry. She was quiet, which usually meant she was thinking hard about something. "Dad, do you like Miss Kimball? Like her?" Peter considered how to answer. Emma was smart and she deserved honesty. "I think I might. How would you feel about that?" Emma was quiet for a moment, folding one of her shirts with careful precision. "I miss Mom. I'll always miss Mom." "Me too, sweetheart. But I think Mom would like Miss Kimball, and I think she would want you to be happy." Emma looked up at him with Sarah's eyes. "Are you happy when you're with her?" Peter thought about Jennifer's laugh, the way she listened when he talked, the feeling of possibility when they were together. "Yeah, Em, I am." "Then I think you should keep seeing her, and Lucy is really fun." "I wouldn't mind having her around more." Peter pulled Emma into a hug, grateful beyond words for this wise, wonderful daughter of his. Lucy's birthday party was on a sunny Saturday afternoon. The park was decorated with streamers and balloons, and about 15 kids ran around playing games. Peter had been nervous about meeting Jennifer's friends, the other parents who moved in her world of success and wealth. But Jennifer kept him by her side, introducing him simply as my friend Peter, with a warmth that made it clear he was important to her. One mother, a woman in expensive athleisure wear, gave Peter a once-over that was clearly judgmental. "And what do you do, Peter?" "I work at Riverside warehouse," he said evenly. "Oh, how nice." Her tone said it was anything but nice. Jennifer's hand found his, squeezing gently. "Peter is one of the kindest, most genuine people I've ever met. His daughter Emma is wonderful too." The woman had the grace to look embarrassed and excused herself quickly. Peter felt a surge of affection for Jennifer, for her defense of him, for not caring about what he did or didn't have. After the cake and presents, when most of the guests had left, Peter helped Jennifer clean up while Emma and Lucy played on the swings. "I'm sorry about Deanne," Jennifer said, stuffing wrapping paper into a trash bag. "She's a bit of a snob. It's fine, I'm used to it." "Well, you shouldn't have to be." Jennifer stopped what she was doing and turned to face him. "Peter, I need to tell you something. I like you. A lot. I know our situations are different, and I know this is complicated with the girls, but I can't stop thinking about you. I look forward to our coffee dates all week. I find excuses to text you. When something good happens, you're the first person I want to tell." Peter's heart was pounding. "Jennifer, I'm a warehouse worker with a falling-apart truck and a house I rent. You're a CEO. You have a beautiful house, a successful company. What could I possibly offer you?" "Yourself," Jennifer said simply. "You offer yourself. Your kindness, your strength, your loyalty, the way you love your daughter, the way you make me laugh, the way I feel safe with you." She stepped closer. "I don't care about money, Peter. I have money. What I don't have is someone who sees me, really sees me, and likes what they see. You do that." "I do see you," Peter said, his voice rough. "And I don't just like what I see, I think I'm falling in love with you." The words hung in the air between them. Peter couldn't believe he'd said them, but he couldn't take them back. Didn't want to take them back. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. I think I'm falling in love with you too. Peter closed the distance between them, cupping her face in his calloused hands, and kissed her. It was gentle at first, tentative, then deeper as Jennifer responded, her arms wrapping around his neck. It had been so long since Peter had kissed anyone, and never had it felt like this, like coming home and starting an adventure all at once. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Emma and Lucy were standing a few feet away, watching with wide eyes. Are you two boyfriend and girlfriend now? Lucy asked. Peter looked at Jennifer, saw his own happiness reflected in her eyes. I think so. How do you feel about that? Yes. Both girls shouted in unison, then ran to hug their respective parents. Over the next few months, Peter and Jennifer navigated their new relationship carefully. They went on actual dates, just the two of them, while Mrs. Chen or Maria watched the girls. They also did things as a foursome, visiting museums and parks, having movie nights at Jennifer's house with its comfortable furniture and big television. Peter felt awkward the first time he visited Jennifer's house, a beautiful modern place in the nicest part of town. It had to be worth at least $1 million, maybe more. The kitchen was bigger than his entire living room, with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. This is where you live? He'd asked, unable to hide his amazement. It's just a house, Jennifer had said, but she looked pleased. I bought it when the company started doing well. I wanted Lucy to have a nice place to grow up. It's incredible. Your place is nice too. It's warm, lived in. This place sometimes feels too big, too empty. Just me and Lucy rattling around. But as time went on, Peter became more comfortable in Jennifer's space, and she became a regular fixture in his. She didn't mind the shabby furniture or the temperamental hot water heater. She helped Emma with homework at the wobbly kitchen table. She laughed when Peter's truck made its grinding noise. She fit into his life as naturally as breathing. The first real conflict came 4 months into their relationship. Peter had been having a particularly bad month financially. The truck had needed new brakes, which he'd put on credit he couldn't afford. Emma needed new shoes. The rent was due, and he was short by $200. He was staring at his bank statement at the kitchen table when Jennifer stopped by unexpectedly. She took one look at his face and knew something was wrong. What's going on? Nothing, just juggling bills. Jennifer sat down across from him. Peter, talk to me. It's not your problem. If it's hurting you, it is my problem. We're together. We're supposed to share things. Peter wanted to tell her, but pride held him back. How could he admit to this successful woman that he couldn't even pay his rent on time? Peter, please, let me in. Something in her voice broke through his resistance. I'm short on rent this month, had unexpected expenses. I'll figure it out. I always do. Let me help. No, why not? Because that's not how this works. I'm not with you for your money. I know that, but relationships are about supporting each other. If you needed me to watch Emma so you could pick up an extra shift, you'd ask me, right? That's different. How is it different? Jennifer's voice was passionate, urgent. Peter, I have money, more money than I need. Why can't I help someone I love? It was the first time either of them had used the word love directly, not hiding behind falling in love or starting to feel. You love me? Peter asked. Yes, you stubborn man, I love you. I love you so much it scares me sometimes, and it kills me to see you struggling when I could help with the stroke of a pen. I need to be able to provide for my daughter. I need to be able to take care of things myself. You do provide for her. You're an amazing father, but accepting help doesn't make you less of a man, Peter. It makes you smart. It makes you someone who puts his daughter's well-being above his pride. Peter sat back, her words hitting hard. She was right. His pride was getting in the way of what was best for Emma. How about this? Jennifer said, reaching across the table to take his hand. You let me help with this month's rent, but you pay me back when you can. No interest, no deadline, just when you're able. That feels like charity. It's a loan from someone who loves you. Is that so terrible? Peter looked down at their joined hands, hers soft and manicured, his rough and scarred from years of manual labor. They shouldn't fit together, but they did. "Okay," he said finally, "but I will pay you back, every penny." "I know you will. That's one of the reasons I love you." Jennifer transferred the money that evening, and Peter felt a complex mix of relief and shame. But Emma had food, they had a roof over their heads, and that was what mattered. The next week, Peter came home to find a notice on his door. His landlord was selling the duplex. They had 60 days to find a new place. Peter felt panic rise in his chest. Finding a place he could afford would be nearly impossible in this market. Rents had gone up everywhere, and with his credit damaged from Sarah's medical bills, options were limited. He called Jennifer, trying to keep the fear out of his voice. "Can you come over? We need to talk." She was there within 20 minutes, concern written all over her face. Peter showed her the notice. "Okay," she said, immediately going into problem-solving mode. "We'll figure this out. Let me make some calls. I know people in real estate." "Jennifer, I can't afford the places you're thinking of." "Then let me think of places you can afford, or better yet, let me make you a different offer." Peter waited, already knowing he wasn't going to like what came next. "Move in with me." "What? No, absolutely not." "Why not? Lucy and Emma practically live together anyway. You're at my place half the time. I have 4 bedrooms, more than enough space." "Because I won't be a kept man. I won't move into your house and let you support me." Jennifer's eyes flashed with anger. "Is that what you think this would be? Me keeping you?" "Peter, I'm asking you to move in because I love you and I want to build a life with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want us to be a family." "A family where I contribute nothing? You'd contribute everything that matters." "But if it's about money, fine. Pay me rent. Whatever you're paying now, pay me that. I don't need it, but if it makes you feel better, pay me." Peter paced the small living room. "Let me think about it." "Of course. Take your time, but Peter, don't let pride ruin something good. Don't let it keep us from being happy." After Jennifer left, Peter sat Emma down. "How would you feel about moving in with Miss Kimball and Lucy?" Emma's face lit up. "Really? We could live in that big house." "Maybe. I haven't decided yet, but I want to know how you feel about it." "I think it would be awesome. Lucy and I could have sleepovers every night, and Miss Kimball has that huge kitchen where we could bake cookies, and there's that big backyard." Emma paused. "But what about our house? What about Mom's stuff? We'd take everything important with us. Mom's pictures, her jewelry, all the things we want to keep. Those memories don't live in the house, Em. They live in us." Emma nodded slowly. "Then I think we should do it. If you love Miss Kimball and she loves you, why wouldn't we want to live together?" Out of the mouths of babes. Peter called Jennifer that night. "Okay," he said when she answered. "We'll move in, but I'm paying rent and I'm helping with groceries and utilities. This is a partnership, not a rescue." He could hear the smile in Jennifer's voice. "Deal, when can you move in?" 60 days. "But maybe we could start moving some things over before then, so it doesn't feel so sudden." "Whenever you want. This is your home now, too." The next 2 months were a whirlwind of packing, moving, and adjusting. Peter insisted on paying for the moving truck himself, refusing Jennifer's offer to hire movers. His friends from work, Dave and Marcus, helped him move furniture on a Saturday, and Jennifer ordered pizza for everyone. Emma and Lucy were thrilled to become roommates, spending hours planning how to decorate their shared room. Peter got his own room, which felt strange at first. He and Jennifer had been taking things slowly physically, and she'd insisted he have his own space until he was ready for more. "I want this to work for the long term," she'd said. "I don't want to rush anything and mess it up." Peter appreciated that more than he could say. It had been 7 months since their first kiss, and while they'd grown increasingly close, he wasn't quite ready to share a bedroom. It felt too big, too fast, especially with the girls in the house. Living with Jennifer revealed new dimensions to her character. She was messy in ways that surprised him, leaving coffee cups around the house and her shoes wherever she kicked them off. She was also incredibly disciplined about her work, up at 5 every morning to exercise and review reports before the girls woke up. They fell into a comfortable routine. Peter would get up with Jennifer, make coffee while she worked out. Then he'd make breakfast for everyone, getting the girls ready for school. Jennifer had offered to hire someone to help with household tasks, but Peter refused. This was something he could do, something he could contribute. Emma and Lucy attended different schools, but Peter found a way to make it work, dropping Emma off first, then doubling back to get Lucy to Riverside Elementary before he headed to the warehouse. "You know," Jennifer said one morning as Peter rushed around making lunches, "you could work for my company. I have an opening in facilities management. It pays better than the warehouse, has great benefits." "I don't want to work for you," Peter said, not unkindly. "That would complicate things." "How? What if we fought? What if things didn't work out?" "Then I'd be out of a job and a relationship." "Things are going to work out," Jennifer said with confidence. "But I understand. The offer stands if you change your mind." 6 months after moving in, things came to a head in an unexpected way. Peter had just gotten home from work when he found Jennifer in the home office, her head in her hands, papers scattered everywhere. "What's wrong?" The Madison account fell through. 6 months of work, down the drain. It's not going to break the company, but it's a significant loss. She looked up at him with tired eyes. "I'm just so sick of being the one who has to be strong all the time, who has to have all the answers. Sometimes I just want to fall apart." Peter closed the door to the office and pulled her to her feet, wrapping her in his arms. "Then fall apart. I've got you." And she did. Jennifer cried against his chest, her shoulders shaking, releasing stress and pressure she'd been holding in for who knew how long. Peter just held her, stroking her hair, murmuring reassurances. When she finally pulled back, her makeup was smeared and her eyes were red, and Peter had never found her more beautiful. "Thank you," she whispered. "That's what I'm here for. You're always taking care of everyone else. Let me take care of you." That night, after the girls were in bed, Jennifer knocked on Peter's bedroom door. She was wearing pajamas, her face freshly washed, looking vulnerable in a way he rarely saw. "Can I come in?" "Of course." She sat on the edge of his bed, playing with the hem of her shirt. "I don't want to sleep alone tonight. I don't mean anything has to happen. I just want to be close to you." Peter pulled back the covers in answer, and Jennifer climbed in, curling against his side. He wrapped his arm around her, feeling her gradually relax. "I love you," she said into the darkness. "I love you too." That was the night things changed. Not physically, not yet, but emotionally. A final wall came down between them. From that night on, Jennifer slept in Peter's room more often than not, and Peter finally started to feel like he belonged in this beautiful house, in this new life. A year after they'd first met, Peter took Jennifer back to the park where they'd had their first coffee date. It was a Tuesday evening, and the girls were having a special sleepover at Mrs. Chen's house. The old woman had become like a grandmother to both girls, and she'd insisted on giving Peter and Jennifer an evening alone. They walked to the bench where they'd sat so many times, and Peter felt his heart hammering against his ribs. He'd been planning this for weeks, saving every spare dollar from his paychecks. "Jennifer," he said, taking her hands, "a year ago I was just surviving. Going through the motions, trying to be enough for Emma, feeling like I was failing. Then you walked into my life and everything changed. You made me remember what happiness feels like, what hope feels like, what love feels like." Jennifer's eyes were already filling with tears. "I know I'm not rich. I know I can't give you fancy things or expensive vacations, but I can give you me, all of me. My loyalty, my love, my commitment to building a life together." Peter got down on one knee, pulling out the small box he'd been carrying in his pocket for a week. "Jennifer Kimball, will you marry me?" The ring was modest, a simple diamond on a gold band, but it had taken Peter 3 months of saving to afford it. Jennifer looked at it like it was the most precious thing she'd ever seen. "Yes," she said, laughing and crying at the same time. "Yes, yes, yes." Peter slipped the ring on her finger, then stood and kissed her, pouring everything he felt into that kiss. When they broke apart, both breathless, Jennifer was smiling through her tears. "I have something for you too," she said, reaching into her purse. "I've been carrying this around for 2 weeks, trying to find the right moment." She handed him an envelope. Inside was a deed to the duplex where he'd been living when they met. "What is this?" "The landlord was selling. Remember? I bought it. Well, my company bought it. And now I'm transferring ownership to you." Peter stared at the paper, not understanding. "Why would you do this?" "Because you need to know that you have something that's yours. Something I didn't give you, something you already had. You were paying rent on that place for years. Think of this as all those years of payments paying off. It's yours, Peter. You can keep it as a rental property, sell it, whatever you want. But it's yours." Peter felt his throat tighten. She understood. She understood his need to contribute, to have something of his own. "Thank you. But this is too much." "No, it's not. It's an investment property that needed someone to manage it, and you're going to be my husband. What's mine is yours anyway." They called the girls from the park, putting them on speakerphone together. "We have some news," Jennifer said. "What?" Both girls shouted. "Your dad and I are getting married," Jennifer said, and Peter loved how naturally she called him the girl's dad, including Lucy in that. The screaming that came through the phone was ear-splitting but joyful. Mrs. Chen came on a moment later, laughing. "Congratulations. I told you this would happen. I knew it from the start." The wedding planning took 6 months. Jennifer wanted something simple and meaningful, and Peter was relieved they were on the same page. They got married in the same park where he'd proposed, with about 50 guests. Dave was Peter's best man, and Jennifer's sister flew in from Ohio to be her maid of honor. Emma and Lucy were flower girls, wearing matching dresses and looking so excited Peter thought they might burst. When Jennifer walked toward him, wearing a simple white dress that somehow made her look like an angel, Peter felt tears sting his eyes. This incredible woman was choosing him, choosing the life they'd built together. The vows they exchanged were traditional but heartfelt. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Peter did so tenderly, aware of all the eyes on them, aware that this was the beginning of something new. The reception was at a local restaurant, nothing fancy but filled with warmth and love. Peter danced with Emma, then with Lucy, then finally with his new wife. "How are you feeling?" Jennifer asked as they swayed to a slow song, like the luckiest man alive. "Good, that's how you should feel, because I'm pretty lucky too." That night, in the room Jennifer had booked at a nice hotel while Mrs. Chen watched the girls overnight, Peter and Jennifer finally came together fully as husband and wife. It was tender and passionate, and everything Peter had been afraid he'd never feel again. Afterward, lying tangled together in the sheets, Jennifer traced patterns on his chest. "I want to have another baby," she said quietly. Peter's heart skipped. "Yeah, I always wanted more kids, but after the divorce, I thought that ship had sailed. But now, with you, I want to give Lucy a sibling, give Emma a sibling, give us a child that's ours together." "I would love that," Peter said, imagining it, a baby that was part him, part Jennifer, a symbol of everything they'd built together. "Not right away," Jennifer added. "Let's enjoy being newlyweds for a bit. But soon." "Soon," Peter agreed. The next year was one of adjustment and growth. Peter finally accepted Jennifer's offer to work for her company, taking a position in facilities management that paid nearly twice what the warehouse did and had benefits that actually covered everything Emma needed. His pride had initially balked, but Jennifer had pointed out that she hadn't hired him out of nepotism. She'd had him interview with her facilities director, and he'd gotten the job on his own merit. Working at Kimball Consulting Group was different from the warehouse. Peter had an office, business cards, respect from colleagues. He supervised a team of 5 people and was responsible for maintaining all of the company's properties. It was challenging but fulfilling, and he was good at it. The girls were thriving. Emma and Lucy were inseparable, true sisters in every way that mattered. They fought sometimes, like siblings do, but their bond was unbreakable. 18 months after the wedding, Jennifer sat Peter down with a nervous smile on her face. "So, remember how we talked about having a baby?" Peter's eyes widened. "Are you pregnant?" "I am. 8 weeks. I wanted to wait until we were past the scary first trimester bit before I told you, but I can't keep it secret anymore." Peter pulled her into his arms, overwhelmed with joy. "We're having a baby. We're really having a baby." The pregnancy was easy for the most part. Jennifer had some morning sickness in the first trimester, but after that, she glowed. The girls were excited, arguing over names and whether they wanted a brother or sister. When Jennifer was 5 months along, she and Peter found out they were having a boy. "A son," Peter said, staring at the ultrasound picture. He'd always wondered what it would be like to have a son. He loved Emma more than life itself, but there was something about having a boy that felt different, exciting in a new way. They named him Samuel, after Peter's father. Samuel Quinn came into the world on a sunny October morning, weighing 7 pounds, 6 ounces, with a full head of dark hair and his mother's eyes. Holding his son for the first time, Peter felt complete in a way he'd never expected to feel again after Sarah died. This was his family. Jennifer, Emma, Lucy, and now Samuel. They were messy and loud and chaotic and absolutely perfect. Emma and Lucy were wonderful big sisters, fighting over who got to hold Samuel, who got to help with feedings, who got to pick out his outfit for the day. They were 11 now, on the cusp of adolescence, but still young enough to be completely enamored with a baby. The first year of Samuel's life was exhausting and beautiful. Peter and Jennifer took turns with night feedings, both of them bleary-eyed and functioning on minimal sleep, but happy. So incredibly happy. One night, when Samuel was 6 months old and finally sleeping through the night, Peter and Jennifer lay in bed, listening to the quiet house. "Can you believe this is our life?" Jennifer asked, her head on his chest. "Sometimes I have to pinch myself." "Do you ever think about that morning, when you saw Lucy at the bus stop? All the time. If it hadn't been raining that day, if I'd taken a different route, if I'd been too focused on getting to work to stop, we might never have met." "I don't want to think about that," Jennifer said, holding him tighter. "I can't imagine my life without you in it. You saved me," Peter said quietly. "I was drowning, trying to keep my head above water, and I didn't even realize it. You threw me a lifeline." "We saved each other," Jennifer corrected. "I was lonely, tired of being the only adult in Lucy's life, tired of being strong all the time. You gave me a partner, someone to lean on, someone who loves me for me, not for my money or my success." Peter kissed the top of her head. "I do love you." More than I ever thought possible. As the years passed, their family continued to grow and change. Emma and Lucy went through middle school together, joined the soccer team together, had their first crushes and heartbreaks. Peter was there for all of it, driving them to practice, cheering at games, offering awkward but sincere advice about boys. Samuel grew from a baby into a rambunctious toddler, then a curious kindergartner. He had Jennifer's intelligence and Peter's love of the outdoors. Every weekend, Peter would take him on small hikes, teaching him about trees and animals, passing on the knowledge his own father had given him. When Samuel was 4, Jennifer came to Peter with another surprise. "So, I know we said we were done after Samuel," she said, a mischievous smile on her face. "But what would you say to one more?" Peter laughed, pulling her into his arms. "I'd say bring it on." Their second son, James, was born when Samuel was 5. Emma was 15 by then, Lucy 14, and they were both incredibly helpful with the new baby. Peter loved watching them with their baby brother, so gentle and patient. The house was chaos most days. Between work, school activities, diaper changes, and homework help, there was rarely a moment of quiet. But Peter wouldn't have changed a thing. This was the life he'd never dared to dream of, and it was more than he'd ever imagined. On Samuel's 6th birthday, Peter found himself in the backyard, watching all 4 kids play together. Emma was 18 now, home from her first semester of college. Lucy was 17, already looking at universities. Samuel was showing off his new bicycle to James, who was toddling after his big brother with determination. Jennifer came up beside him, sliding her arm around his waist. "Look at them," she said softly. "Look at what we built. We did good, didn't we? We did great." Peter thought back to that rainy morning almost 7 years ago when he'd seen a little girl standing alone at a bus stop. He just wanted to help, to make sure she was safe. He never could have imagined that simple act of kindness would lead to all of this. "Thank you," he said to Jennifer. "For what? For seeing me, for loving me, for building this family with me." Jennifer looked up at him, her eyes bright with emotion. "Thank you for stopping that morning. Thank you for being the kind of man who helps a scared little girl, even when you're running late. Thank you for loving my daughter like she's your own. Thank you for giving me Samuel and James. Thank you for being my partner in everything." They kissed, soft and sweet, as their children's laughter filled the air around them. It wasn't a perfect life. There were still struggles, still challenges. Money was sometimes tight, even with both of them working. The kids fought sometimes. Work was stressful, but they faced everything together as a team, as a family. That night, after all the kids were in bed, Peter and Jennifer sat on their back porch, watching the stars come out. Peter held her hand, marveling at how perfectly it fit in his. "I love you," he said. "I love you too," Jennifer replied. "Forever." And Peter knew it was true. Whatever came next, whatever challenges life threw at them, they would face it together. This beautiful, chaotic, imperfect, wonderful family was his, and he was never letting it go. As he sat there in the peaceful night, Peter sent up a silent thank you to Sarah, wherever she was. She taught him how to love, how to be a good father, how to keep going even when things seemed impossible. He hoped she could see how happy he was, how well Emma was doing. He hoped she knew that loving Jennifer didn't mean he'd forgotten her. His heart was big enough for both of them. The future stretched out ahead of them, full of possibility. Emma would graduate college, Lucy would follow soon after. Samuel and James would grow up, have their own adventures. There would be more birthdays, more holidays, more ordinary days that would somehow be extraordinary just because they were all together. Peter Quinn, who had once been just a struggling dad trying to make it through each day, was now a husband, a father of 4, a man who'd found love when he'd least expected it. And it had all started with a simple choice to stop and help a little girl in the rain. Life, he thought, had a funny way of working out. You just had to be open to the possibilities, brave enough to take chances, and willing to accept help when it was offered. Most of all, you had to believe that happiness was possible, even after loss, even after hardship. Looking at Jennifer beside him, thinking of their children sleeping safely inside, Peter knew without a doubt that he'd been given a second chance at happiness. And he planned to cherish every moment of it, the end.